my name is Joey. I'm so glad you're here. I got my SoftFlex mystery kit, my design challenge kit for the month of January, and it is so beautiful. I have to say something before I show you what's in the kit. When a kit is so good that just what the package is tied with inspires you to create something, you know that it's a good collection of beads. So I started creating from the minute that I took this out of the mailing package. It was tied with this beautiful sort of a wine red velvet ribbon, and it is something that I love to make bookmarkers out of. I have an entire playlist on my channel for all the different ways to create bookmarkers. I bead them, I create them out of wire sometimes, but I love to take velvet ribbon or tapestry style ribbon and put ribbon ends on it and create like book jewelry. So I borrowed a few things from one of the bead mixes in the kit and just put some cord ends on and went into my stash. I was already working on some heart jewelry and I had some hearts laying out, and I did a mix of pink and red because this month's name of this month's design challenge kit is Star-Crossed Lovers, and look at this. So as I said, I got inspired just by the ribbon. This is what I have left because I'm also using this for a really beautiful pair of earrings, and I'm saving what was left. So I mean, don't throw away what your package was tied with because there is so much you can do with this. So we got this beautiful bead mix here, which is called Star-Crossed Lovers. SoftFlex company partners with Jesse James Beads for these kits, and it is wonderful. I'll show you a little bit about what is in it. I love the roses. These have a drill hole that goes right up the top, and some of my beads in my mix are missing because I've already done 2 earring designs. These beautiful hearts, there were 2 of these, and there were 4 of these gold ones in the mix. So this is a 3rd earring design that I have out here, and these are the most gorgeous kind of harlequin black and white acrylic beads, and they went into one of my earring projects, and I absolutely adore this spacer bead. Let me grab a little piece of wire and show you the dimension on this, because this is like the most incredible spacer bead. It looks a little bit like a star, a little bit like a sea urchin. It's just absolutely beautiful and dimensional, and I just love it. So there were a few of those in the mix, and these beautiful crown bead caps that look like little crowns, and a lot of red and black crystals in different shapes. Let me put a few on my wire. There's this round faceted, there's this oval faceted, there is a really small, like I think this is like a 4mm faceted, and let's see, oh, the black barrel shape or cylindrical shape faceted crystals are just beautiful, and there's even some black faceted 4mm. So it's that beautiful classic red and black and white. There's some white cubes in here, just so beautiful, such a pretty winter combination. And these gorgeous bead caps, which can also be used as components or charms because of the large loops on the edge. And I love these too, these little flower spacers, little small like open roses, and they just look so great with the colors in the mix. So that is just absolutely gorgeous. We also received a 15-foot spool of the 49 strand EconoFlex. It's a medium bead stringing wire, and I am dying over this color. I love gold. You know, gold is my metal, and I just love this. It's so great to have that. We also got some number 2 crimp tubes in a gunmetal color, which this, in my opinion, SoftFlex company has the best crimp tubes on the market. I can use the magical crimping plier easily with them, and if you're having trouble with that tool, you might try the SoftFlex brand for your crimp tubes because they work great with that. But even regular fold over or flat crimp, you can use these for. They have a nice thick wall, and you can fit quite a few strands. I can get one more in here than I can with other brands when I'm doing multi-stringing. So I highly recommend, like I've said this before, I pretty much start every project with my SoftFlex craft wire, SoftFlex crimp tubes, and bead stringing wire. For me, it's like bread, milk, eggs in my kitchen. If I have that to start with, I know I'm going to have great designs. So there was that. And then we got gunmetal plated ear wires, and one of mine is missing because I've already done a sample. These are the pretty little ones with the ball on the end. We got a gunmetal lobster claw clasp. We got some beautiful brass, like natural brass star charms. We got some multi-strand connectors. There is this beautiful little S-hook, little clasp, which is so nice, and I think I will be using this, not in this video, but I'll show you. I have another design coming. And then there was these beautiful little ceramic hearts. They're Peruvian red heart beads, and they're ceramic, and they're just so lovely, and they have a really nice size hole for being as small as they are. So if you like to do Brazilian wax cord, you could probably use that on there. And then I have to put one of these on. There is this beautiful check glass faceted round in 3mm, and it is just absolutely the most beautiful bead. These are great for spacers. You can wire wrap them onto things to add a little embellishment. It's just absolutely wonderful. And then there is a check glass black large hole and clear bead strand. And so I haven't cut mine open, but the clear that you see in here are check glass faceted rounds, and these beautiful, like they're like a rondelle, but like a smooth barrel bead, or even a little bit of a disc. They have large holes. So again, if you like to work with multi-strands, or like Brazilian wax cord, or even leather, these beads will be perfect for that. We also got a lovely little strand of pinch beads. They are so gorgeous. These are 3x5mm, and they're check glass, and they're half hematite. So they have a really beautiful look. They almost have that like gunmetal look on one side. They're really, really pretty. And let's see, what am I missing? Oh, cannot miss these. These are so gorgeous. These are teeny tiny ceramic gold crown beads. Let me put them on a wire so I can get my fingers out of the way. But aren't they so pretty? They have such lovely detail. They are just gorgeous. I am crazy about those. So you could do earrings with these. You could string them back to back with a cool bead in between, and have like a royal theme. I just love them. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with mine yet, but I just love them. And then this is one of, well, I have a lot of favorites in this box, but I love this little bead mix. These are ceramic beads that are painted with stars, and they all have mixed colors and shapes. So I got this oval barrel, I got 4 cylindrical shaped, and I got a little round. And again, the holes on these are so nice, and I love to do stringing and knotting with Brazilian waxed cord. So I think I'm going to create a whole bracelet design with Brazilian wax cord around these beads and add in some other things. So I'm going to come back in another video and show you that project, because today I just really wanted to dive in. Let me make sure that I did not forget anything in this beautiful kit. Okay, I don't think that I did. Okay, let me show you what my samples are. I'm going to start with this one because this is the most romantic, it's very bohemian, but very romantic. I could just see this with just like a black off the shoulder sweater or top. I know this is not a great camera angle for you, but I'll put some pictures up at the end. So I just used another piece of the ribbon that our package was tied with, and folded it over and used one of the ribbon ends to crimp it and make that connection. And then I used jump rings to get my orientation right. And instead of using this little star urchin spacer bead as a spacer, I turned it into a charm. But even the little brass stars would be really pretty on the bottom of this design. So I'll show you how I did that. This is super easy. In fact, let me put some things aside that I think I'm going to want 2 of these, and let me set some things aside so we have space to work. I'm not going to cut into these just yet either. Okay, so I'm going to take the ribbon, and I cut both of these at the same time so that I knew that I had the right length, and I'm just going to fold it in half and line it up and just be as neat as possible. And then I have these little ribbon ends, and I have all metal finishes in this, but I chose this one because it looks great with the gold on these faceted hearts, and it's the same finish, the antique brass, as the sea urchin and the bead caps. And then what I use is my flat nose plier to do this. These are open fairly wide. I don't find it necessary to use glue. I've never had one come off because these little teeth really grab into the ribbon, but if you wanted to use glue, you could. So I tend to close it a little bit first, and just because it's open so wide, and just make sure that my ribbon ends is really lined up. And I'm just going to, whoops, and do it with my fingers to start off with. Just get my end on there, and I just want to make sure that it's really centered on the ribbon so that when I close it and the teeth grab in, everything is straight. That looks pretty good to me. And then I'm just going to gently close it, and then from there I can go like side to side and front to back and make sure that it's closed really well. Okay. That part is done, and now the rest is really a simple wire wrapping loops. I am using, let me get the spool so I can show you. I am using my SoftFlex craft wire in the 20 gauge. I love that this has an anti-tarnish coating, and I'm going to create this little bead stack for the top of the earring. So I'm going to start with my bent chain nose pliers and just do a wire wrapped loop in this earring, just a 90-degree bend, warm, straighten, smooth while I have it in the plier. It is so cold in Florida today, 41 degrees when I went to meet my client this morning. So my fingers are not used to this weather. I love it. It's so invigorating and wonderful, but it is a really cold day in the tropics today. I imagine in the rest of the country, they're even worse than here, of course. So I'm going to do a wire wrapped loop, and since it's an earring, I'm going to try to match what I did on this, which I did 3 wraps. So let me try to do the same thing. And trim. And I like to do really neat wraps, so I'll usually put my plier inside the loop and kind of tighten those coils. It's just, I am a fuss budget when it comes to my jewelry. I like to work really neatly. You don't have a lot of leverage when you are trying to tidy up coils at this point. So a lot of times I'll just leave it when, until I have my beads on, and then I can tidy it up from there. So let's see, I have another heart bead right here, and I'm going to put this on next, and then a bead cap facing down, and then one of the red crystals from the Star-Crossed Lovers mix, and that is the top part of the earring. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I want my loops to be going in the same direction, and the reason I opted for a wire wrapped loop here rather than a simple loop is because I did want to kind of tighten my wraps onto this bead stack so that my heart stays facing forward. Otherwise, if I had done it all with round beads, I would have just let them spin around and just done a simple loop. But I really want to secure that heart so that when it's on the earring, it's facing forward. So now I'm going to do the same thing again. Just wrap down to the beads very neatly. For me, it's usually about 3 wraps. And so here's where you want to be careful not to break your beads, but I just want to snuggle that wire in line with my previous coils. And so this is really nice and secure. And snip as close as I can to my wrap. Whoops. I'm going to save that little piece of wire. And just make sure that everything is tucked. And at this point, if anything is not looking good, I'll take a moment to straighten it. And I even want to face my bead cap in the same direction as the other earring. These are things that a lot of times they're just details, and a lot of times somebody who's just picking this up to look at it wouldn't notice, but since I'm putting it together, I pay attention to those details. And so now I have a little tiny jump ring here that I made out of that same 20 gauge craft wire, and I'm going to use that to attach to the ribbon end. And I could have slipped this into the ribbon end before I closed it. I opted for the little small jump ring because these are dramatic and the color is so rich and they're very romantic, and as I said, to me they give me a really bohemian vibe. So that much is done. And then what I did for the little spacer is I made another jump ring, a large one that I also did with my 20 gauge SoftFlex wire, and I'm just going to feed that on and get it on there and close it. Just close it right in the hole. Okay, so the spacer bead has become a charm, and I'm going to take another jump ring. I made all of these. I sat and I like to make some up ahead of time and just have them ready. And then I know all my jump rings are anti-tarnish, and I'm going to loop that through my ribbon and put my charm on and just close it really well. I like to put my pliers inside to make sure that I have a really nice round jump ring, and even like open and close the pliers. Even though this is an earring, it won't get very much stress, but I just love the way that looks. And it is ready for the ear wire. Just open the ear wire and add it to my very top wrapped loop, just like that, and close it. And this pair of earrings is done. It's really an easy pair to make. With a lot of different textures, and you know, there's just mediums to go from the crystal to the metal to the ribbon. I absolutely love them. And of course these are a bit long, which I loved the drama of it, but you could shorten your ribbon loops here. You could shorten your bead stack if you would like the design but you want to make it shorter, and respectively you could add a bead if you want to make them really long. You could. These are just so beautiful. I enjoyed making them. And like I said, I was so inspired just by the packaging. It was just beautiful. So the next earring, my sample looks like this. Let me get the ear wire here. And so again, I started with my 20 gauge wire and made a really oversized spiral, what we normally make. Like I made my own spiral head pin, and I really liked the gunmetal ear wires that came in the kit because they, you know, they kind of take on that black accent look, and I like the contrast between the antique gold and the gold wire. So it's just so pretty, but you could switch this to silver too if you wanted. So let me get another piece of my SoftFlex 20 gauge wire. I want to start with wire that's smooth, and I don't skip the step of warming it in between my fingers because spirals and things like that just perform so much more easily if you don't skip that step. And I want this to be a really nice tight spiral, but I did hammer this one to add some texture to it, and I'm so excited. I got a new hammer. I found it online. I was like, you know, puttering around online looking for jewelry things, and I found this really cool hammer with interchangeable heads and all these possible textures, so I can't wait to show it to you. But I'm just going to make a nice big coil. I'm going to keep going and do my best to match it up to my first earring. I just do small increments and gently push the wire against my finger, and don't get in a hurry because you just get much better results if you go slowly. So I'm just going to match as best I can. It's an artisan ear wire, but that looks like I got the size pretty perfect. And so I'm going to come right where I stopped coiling, get my pliers in there, and just bend it straight up. So I just made, yeah, it's gonna, when you hammer, you do spread out, because this is round wire, and when you hammer, you flatten it, and you will spread out the work that you just did. And it's really pretty like that. So if you don't like hammering, you know, you could skip that step. Let me make a little space here so that I can pull my little bench block in and show you what I did. So there's my bench block, and look at this cool hammer, you guys. It has this thing that you can unscrew, and you have all this choice of textures. Look at all, you can do stripes, you can do little divots that are square shaped, round shaped, like a dimpled or dotted look. There's a harlequin, like a diamond. You could use this as a chasing hammer, but the one I chose is this checkerboard look. Just, you know, it's a texture, and it's very subtle, but since the bead that I'm going to put on top of the rose has that checkerboard look, I thought it would be really pretty. So I am going to screw this on. I have a whole collection of hammers. I have a riveting hammer, a chasing hammer, a rubber mallet. I have a ball peen hammer, and I love to play with like getting different textures in my wire. But when I saw this, I just had to have it, because if you've been around me, you know I'm a jewelry toolaholic, and I just thought this was so cool. And I'm going to use it for a little bit. Maybe I'm going to get rid of all my other hammers, but it doesn't take much. I gave it a couple of really nice hard hits to get the little squares in there, and you could flatten your wire first if you want to. I'm careful not to hammer the part that my beads are going to go on, but I do want texture over my whole spiral, and I'm going to do both sides. Flip it over and give a little bit to each side. So you do change the molecular structure. The molecules change when you hammer wire, and it becomes a little bit more work hardened. If you over hammer, it will become brittle. But for a head pin like this isn't going to get much stress as long as I'm careful not to over hammer right here where it's going to start holding the beads. And you know, it's done, and it has that little subtle texture. Very artisan and super simple. Okay, let me copy what I did here. So the first thing I did is I fed on one of these gorgeous roses. I love this so much. This is so pretty. They're really lightweight too, for being so big and bold and making such a statement. They're really lightweight. And then I'm going to put one of these little acrylic checkerboard beads. It rests really nicely on top of the rose. I played around with different ways to space this out. Did I have this? There is a kind of a top and bottom to this rose, and I think I have it the same as the other one. So there's that, and then what did I do next? Next I did the little crown bead cap. You really could face this up or down. I actually played with it both ways. It's really cute faced downward as well, like over the bead. So if you wanted to do that in stringing, you could, but I decided to do it this way and then put one of the round faceted red crystals. So whoops, so it's peeking out of the top, and it looks, this little earring looks like that. And then I'm just going to do another wire wrapped loop, and when I'm done with wrapping the loop, again, not a simple loop here, a wire wrapped loop, because I want to secure my rose and my spiral head pin. I want to secure everything facing forward, so this way I can wrap right down to the red crystal and, you know, keep everything facing the front direction since it's an earring. So same thing we did before, wire wrapped loop. Just snuggle that wire in there, and look at that. It's so pretty. I just love that. And I'm gonna pop on one of the gunmetal ear wires. Mixing metals is really a trend right now, And it's so beautiful in this because the change in metal colors really accentuates the whole piece. So this other second romantic and dramatic pair of earrings is done, and I'm going to do a third pair that is so simple. I am going to do a beaded heart chain, and going to be super simple. I am going to use my 1.5 millimeter one-step looper. Just put my wire in, and let me get a little trash pot here and just make the loops. I can get through a beaded chain super quick with this tool, and I get really consistent, perfect loops. I'm going to feed on one of those little hearts. Oh, a trick for using this tool with hearts. If you put your heart on where the bow of the heart is upward, the one-step looper is going to have trouble making a loop in there. So once you have your first loop on, if you put the bow of the heart onto the loop you've already created, and then come to this end and put your second loop in where you have this nice flat point surface like that, you will have a better time. And these are ceramic hearts, so I am pulling this out of the way. I can see that that loop is centered, and I get perfect little loops, and the heart is really, really nice and really nice and secure in there. So from here, I can either decide that I want to connect this with a jump ring or connect it right to the next loop. And I think I'm just going to connect it right to the next loop and kind of let these hearts just be like a mobile, like a mobile over a baby's crib, where they just, they just kind of spin in your ears, dangle and spin. I just think it's going to be beautiful. So I'm going to do that all the way down. This is really just a simple beaded chain, and I love my one-step looper. I'm actually having a little trouble with my hands right now, and this really keeps me from being in pain because I'm not twisting, so it works for me. But you can definitely do your simple loops very easily with just pliers. I'm just going to take out 2 gold ball head pins for the bottom, for the last heart, for that bottom heart. So on this one, like I said, getting your one-step looper in the bow of the heart can be a little bit tricky. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead and do this one with my pliers. And so let me see which way I want to make that loop. This one needs to be going side to side. So I'm just going to come right here and just a little bit above the bow of the heart and just give it a bend, like a 45-degree bend. And then I'm going to come with my round nose pliers and just get in there as best I can. And it's kind of look the way we start a wire wrapped loop. I'm just bending the wire over. I'm going to rotate my pliers out of the way and then just get it around the barrel of the plier, because again, I'm dealing with that, that little bow in the heart. So just get it like that. And then I'm going to come right where the wire meets the downward rod with my cutters and just snip. And now I can open this and add it to my gold heart and then close it, make it really neat, and work hard in it. And it fits doing that. It gets right in the little bow of the heart, and my ball on my head pin is now hanging, where I want it to be at the bottom of the heart. Get it closed really well. And this is ready to go on the ear wire. I'm going to open the ear wire. I decided to go to gold on this because of the gold hearts. It's just all gold and red. Look how sweet that little, it's like a little It's just like a little mobile of hearts. So I'm going to make this last one off camera, do it really fast. Okay, my second earring is done and ready to go on the ear wire. These are so easy and so fun. It's like a little beaded chain and just hanging from an ear wire. I think these are also very romantic and very dramatic. In fact, I just did a pair that was even a little bit longer, and I took the hearts and did them opposite directions, so like almost making a little component. Instead of doing individual links, I did 2 hearts with a little spacer in between, and I did this sweet little pink pair, and I did these for my interchangeable lever back ear wires. So with the 1.5 millimeter one-step looper, it's really easy to not put an ear wire on, to just you know, add them to your, these are gold filled, so add them to your gold filled lever back interchangeable ear wires. And I have a whole bunch of drops in my jewelry box that don't have an ear wire, because I love to do that. In fact, I'll show you, I'm wearing another pair today. I'm going to take these right out of my ear and show you this is what I'm wearing today. So I have 2 or 3 pairs of these interchangeable gold filled lever back ear wires. They have that little cradle in there, and I just love doing that. I make so much jewelry, and I get in so many boxes of beads and bead collections every month, and it just cuts down on, you know, having to have ear wires every time. And then I'm putting really high quality in my ears. So these are really fun to do it either way, but I just love how the simplicity and the beauty and the romance of that. So I will put some pictures up at the end of these projects. I'm going to set this aside and bring my little bookmarker back in. I have an entire box of book jewelry. It is one of my favorite things to make. I can link my playlist in the description box of this video if you're interested in some of the different ways that you can create bookmarkers. These make fabulous gifts, and you can change the themes to make them feminine or masculine or more juvenile, you know, for kids. You can do so much if you need gifts. And they're really fun and fast and easy to make. They're also great for craft fairs. So like I said, I'll put some pictures up at the end so you can have a closer look at everything. And I will put links to the SoftFlex company in the description box of this video. I always link my favorite tools and anything that I've used that I think you might want for your own work. I put those links there for you as well. I thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will, because I am planning a bracelet project with Brazilian wax cord and these gorgeous ceramic beads that were in the collection. So please do that. Subscribe, tap the bell notification. A thumbs up is really appreciated. It supports my work. And so I thank you for all that, for all the things, and I will see you in the next video.